And anybody in sales knows that the sale doesn't start on the sales call. It starts as soon as they see the first ad.
Data is so valuable, and we deal with that. Obviously, our background in politics, it's like the more you know, it's always helpful. And then comes human intelligence. Then comes, the interaction with the customer.
And what came from it was because I was standing up for my ideas and my beliefs, and Grant was doing the same, which I'm so happy that he was doing this. We developed the idea of we have to have a one-click.
Hello, and welcome to the Liberty Spenders podcast. We are Kurt and Kristen Ludhart, your hosts, co-founders of the Prosper Group, an agency that's helped raise over $500 million and help elect over 100 members of Congress, 15 governors, 15 U.S. senators, and 1 president. And now, in addition to helping political candidates get elected, we're helping your business get elected by answering this question. What if you could exponentially grow your audience by tapping into a lucrative and engaged consumer group that we call Liberty Spenders? Now, Liberty Spenders are politically conservative or faith-based consumers. We've identified 76.5 million of them, and they're looking to buy from businesses and brands that align with their values. If you want to learn more, you can get access to our new best-selling book at libertyspenders.com/free. Listen up, business owners. If there was a tool that could tell you exactly what your prospect could spend with you right after they opted in and before your sales team even spoke to them, would that be interesting to you? I mean, I know I'm interested. And today our guest, Hunter Hensley, is going to talk about just that.
Hunter Hensley is the co-founder of SimpleCheck. Great name. He's risen from a painting contractor to fintech innovator, which we're going to get into, going from painting to fintech. And as a VP of sales, he scaled a product to $800,000 in monthly revenue and drove $3 million in monthly volume at Free Life Funding, which is another company. And now SimpleCheck's tech cuts lead costs by 64% and boosts qualified opportunities to 82%.
Woo!
Faith-driven, Hunter targets over $1 million in monthly charitable giving.
That's awesome.
Which is awesome, which you can only do if you're driving $3 million or more. So, or what? So I'm glad you're good at what you do. I'm happy to have you on, Hunter. Welcome.
Thanks for having me, guys. I'm very excited to be here.
Yeah, I thought the whole transition from painting contractor into fintech is interesting. So how did you get from there to here? What's the story?
So it's God, 100%. I've always known as a kid, growing up, I watched my dad run multiple different businesses, be pretty successful with what he did, nonprofits. He was in the banking world, like corporate banking world, mortgage loans and whatnot. And I always knew that I had a hard time fitting in. I struggled with conforming to the old 9-to-5 mentality. And so I needed to find things that were outside of that. And after doing some corporate jobs, some 9-to-5 jobs, I was dating a girl whose uncle did painting with contract work. So essentially go to apartment complex, paint the apartments to like return them over so new tenants can come in. So I just started doing that with him and eventually just as a 1099 contractor. And I did that for about 5 years. Eventually I realized only the most money I've ever made in a month is like $3,000. And I just felt like I could do more, not just for myself. Obviously, money's nice, but to really be able to give back. I can't give $3,000 when I can barely get by and kind of have an okay life. So I started looking online for what can I do to make money. And I tried e-com store. I started doing photography and videography on the side and like editing and stuff, but none of it was me. And saw an ad from Cole Gordon to do remote sales. It's like, oh, but it was interesting because he said you don't have to be like a car salesman. You just have a normal conversation and you consult people and help them make the best decision for themselves. That, for me, really tugged on my heartstring to say, well, I want to help people. This sounds like it's perfect for me. So I ended up paying him, went through his program, and I finished it in 2 weeks or 2 or 3 weeks. Got on his sales team. I sold my way to be able to be an appointment setter for him. And after 3 months of being an appointment setter for him, I went from being absolutely the worst. I should have been fired after 3 weeks. I was given one more week to prove that I belonged and was meant to be there. And in that week, I became their best setter that they'd ever had in their organization up to that point. The most sets to close, their highest set to close ratio, and I made the most commissions my first $10,000 month and in personal take-home commission. Long story short, I moved to closing, hated it, moved to a different company because I wanted to see what else was out there. And in that process, the relationships that I met, I was able to become a sales manager or VP of sales for an organization that was launching a new offer. Did $100,000 within 14 days of launching that new offer.
Wow.
And then scaled it up when we're running roughly about $800K a month from there for a little bit. And that's when I met my now business partner, Grant. And at the time, we were running a financing brokerage company. He knew I wanted to leave the VP of sales or the sales leadership world. Again, it just wasn't what I was destined for.
Right.
And I could feel it. And so I turned on as a sales rep, went kind of backwards, in a career progression path, I guess you could say, to be just a sales rep. But in that process, I really learned a lot about the financing world, about the credit world, and I started building really good connections. And because of the connections that I brought, which is one of my biggest gifts, is to be able to connect to people, I started making and getting paid more in commissions than Grant and the third business partner made as owners of the company. So they said, well, it just makes sense to make you an equal partner so we can all get paid the same amount. And I said, I would love that. So I turned into an equal partner, and through the process of going through different lenders and different industries, we realized there needed to be a tool, especially for brick and mortar. Like we started in dental. There needed to be a tool where the dental office manager could have a patient in the chair, run them through a tool that would tell them this is the lender that they're most likely to get approved for and who you should work with, so that the patient doesn't have to go through the embarrassment of applying to 5 different lending options and getting disqualified from 4 of them, and then finally getting approved for the one that'll accept everybody. Right. And that's just, as a consumer or as a patient, that's embarrassing. I've been there. My credit has been terrible before. So I know those feelings. So that's why we developed SimpleCheck, was to stop patients from ever having to feel that. And then to help the practice be able to know exactly where they're going to push this patient through financing to get the care that they need. And from there, again, relationships developed. And this is why I said it was a God thing, because he's just putting people in my life. And relationships developed. We were able to go to only needing a name, phone number, and email address. And frankly, they could fat finger, misspell, or put in the wrong phone number or email, and I'm still going to be able to pull it because they get their IP address as well. Bounce different data points off at different places using the IP address through our credible capture technology. And we're able to then run a full credit report, be able to tell you name, phone number, and email tells you credit score, their Vantage 4.0 score. It's a SimpleCheck credit score, but it's very similar to that. How much they can spend today across all their credit cards, what their debt to income ratio is, what their income is from the IRS and other reporting services, to really help a business optimize not only the front end process, but also the pixel on the back end to only target more and more qualified people. The number that you had said, 64% reduction in lead cost, I want to clarify it. Through all the testing with all of the clients, as we've grown, the average has dropped. Now it's around a 28% reduction in lead cost over the course of 90 days, dependent on how many leads that you push through. But it's been a God thing this whole time.
Yeah. You went from worst to best in a short time. How did that happen?
Yeah. So I remember having a conversation with Brian Ostermiller. He was I believe his title was CEO, but he's essentially running the setters and the closers. And he told me, hey, you have 1 week to at least be up to standard with KPIs and whatnot. So go read this book called Ask and It's Given by Jerry and Esther Hicks. And our setter team lead told me to read this book called The Alter Ego Effect. I read that book in 4 hours. It's very quick. I just downloaded it online through a PDF, read it in 4 hours straight. And then I went and downloaded Ask and It's Given by Jerry and Esther Hicks on Audible because I was not going to read this book over the weekend. It was a 14-hour listen and I put it on 1.5 times speed. So it's a longer book. And the premise of, I'll start with the alter ego effect. It's a little bit easier to explain what happened. Basically, most athletes, most singers, most entertainment industry people, a lot of times they have to kind of change who they are in order to be able to put on such a performance because there's a lot of nerves that go into it. And that was what was happening with me. I was just nervous. It was the first time I was doing anything sales related and having these conversations with people. And the alter ego effects tells you create an alter ego, a new identity, and then have some sort of switch that you can turn on that will bring that person to light. So I wrote down, it's like Clark Kent Superman, right? Clark Kent's the alter ego. So I wrote down this like perfect sales rep who does everything right. I'm like, that's who I embody. And I had these blue light blocking glasses, clear glasses, not the red ones that everybody wears now, but that was my switch. I'd put these glasses on and I became this different person.
I became
somebody who knew sales really well immediately. And that was very helpful. But Ask and It's Given by Jerry and Esther Hicks, so valuable. They talk a lot about the vibration and the frequency of your inner thoughts and how you think basically defines what you get in life. You get what you focus on most of the time. So my biggest takeaway at the time was I needed to make money. I needed to have a job and I needed to make money. Long story short of the book was think about what you want at least 68 seconds at a time. So for 68 straight seconds, continuously think. So for me, it was this month, I need to make $6,000 so I could pay rent, pay different bills. And that would have been the most that I ever made in my life. I need to make $6,000. And I just said that to myself and I felt that I had already made it. That was the key is you have to live in this. It's already happened. Now, I had zero faith at the time. I was grew up Christian and literally left and was like, I reject all of this. So this was a purely from the world standpoint. And I didn't realize it was based in biblical standards of how you're supposed to pray and how you're supposed to pray in expectance of what you're about to receive. But I started doing this every day. This month I'm making $6,000 and I started to believe it. And it didn't matter to me how I made the money. Mind you, there's like 3 weeks left in a month. I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do this, $6,000. And at the end of the month, it was just a mindset shift. At the end of the month, I had made the 6,000. I tried it again the next month, higher, made 8,000. Tried it again the next month, higher, made 10,000, first 10,000 month. And that was the turning point. And then I just decided to practice and be obsessed for that whole weekend with getting better. So anytime that I was not putting into practice that book or both books, I was in front of the mirror or to my current wife at the time, literally role playing that just over and over or in my head. I barely slept. I just laid there in bed, just role played different scenarios in my head, just kept role playing with myself because I knew I had just spent $5,000 on a program that I didn't have the money to spend. And we didn't know where rent was going to come from. So it had to happen. The back was up against the wall and it had to happen. Those two books and then just relentless role playing over and over. There was, remember very clearly, Sunday before we were Monday, because it was my lunchtime. That Monday, the morning went okay. And I was going to go get lunch with my then wife. And on the way there, we were role playing. And as we were role playing, everything clicked perfectly. All of it. And I realized I can be who I am. I don't have to follow their process. I mean, at this point, following their process was about to get me fired. So I could just do my own thing and essentially throw up a Hail Mary. So I changed their entire setting process, the entire conversation flow. And within that week, I had essentially become the best setter that week because of how I operated on these sales calls or these setting calls. And over the next 2.5 months, it showed my set to close ratio was 45%. Basically, every other person that I set to a closer closed. And that's the highest that it had ever been. And then I had 30 something sets that actually closed, which at the time was the highest, and made $10,000, which as a setter in the online space it's a lot of money, for a setter to make in the online space. And it was all credit to understanding the mentality of how do you become a new person, even if it's just for work, have a trigger, have a switch, and you get what you think about most of the time. So why are you going to sit here and think about, what am I going to do? We're not going to be able to pay rent. It's like, I'm making this much money this month. I'm making, it's not an option to not. And then you start to really feel it and sit in it and believe it. And then all of a sudden the universe, God, now that I see that, will conspire to give you exactly what you're putting your effort and your attention towards.
Well, I love that transformation story, right? And I knew you were kind of zipping right past it. I thought there's more to that than what you were sharing there. And now you've got SimpleCheck, your own thing. Kristen gave a little bit of a quick, ad for it, I guess, at the beginning. But talk to us a little bit about how SimpleCheck helps businesses. What does it do for them? How does it help them in their sales process? Help folks to understand what's SimpleCheck.
Yeah. So name, phone number, and email. This is stuff that you're always getting somebody's name, phone number, and email. Now we have to understand that while I have tech, I'm not a tech company. I'm a data mining organization. That's what we are at the very bottom level of it. So all I do is to go find the data that will help a sales team grow. It used to be because of funding. I wanted to help sales teams. I just have a passion for these guys in sales and these companies that have to sell something, because that's just that was my start to the online world and how I started making any type of money. So we have and that's the same way with Grant, we have a real passion about it. So using the name, phone number, and email that everybody will freely give you when they're opting into whatever your ad is, it's very interesting to them. I get to run a credit report full on from the bureau. It's a soft credit check. It doesn't affect anybody's credit, and they very rarely ever see that it ever happens. It doesn't mean that we're allowed to do it without consent. We have to get their consent. Otherwise, I'm getting shut down, and I'm not putting my livelihood on the line for a company that doesn't want to get consent. So we have very strict language that goes into the opt-in form. It's simple. I certify that I'm 18 years or older. And by clicking submit, I'm providing written authorization to your business name and its affiliates to obtain a consumer report to personalize my experience. 90% of people I found as consumers, they're not educated or they don't read. So they don't know what a consumer report is. It's your credit report. It's a legal terminology for a credit report, or they just don't read and they don't care. But using this, I send all of that information into your CRM. And we're working on some upgrades where right now it's a custom build out. My developer will get into your CRM, into your entire tech stack, and do the install 100% for you. And then any new funnels, any new changes, anything ever, he does it. We're launching a one-click install. It's like a Calendly link or a Facebook lead form with our tech attached to the back of it that you just drop off, like you embed into your page. And we're going to offer that for free. So anybody can use it at all. But if you want the actual data behind it, you click a button and then you charge per report. And then we're introducing our smart route technology. And this is what I think is going to really help most businesses. Because as a consumer, you want to have a wonderful experience from the beginning. And anybody in sales knows that the sale doesn't start on the sales call. It starts as soon as they see the first ad. So imagine a prospect sees the first ad, they opt in. Their credit is amazing. They have a lot of money they can spend on a credit card. And as an organization, we'll say you're selling a $99 product, a $10,000 product, and a $60,000 product. Well, we run that report on the top of the funnel. So as soon as they opt in, we'll push it through our smart route technology. which will see, okay, based on these specific criteria, they can afford your 60K program. So they go straight to that booking page, and now that's all that they're going to see. They go talk to your team that sells that 60K program. If they're in the mid-range and they wouldn't be able to afford that, but they could do the 10K program, great. That's the next page that they see. Or, hey, maybe they can't afford that, so we send them to the $99 product. Some organizations just want to send them to a YouTube channel, right? But at this point, we're able to truly personalize the experience that each prospect has from the beginning. So they don't get excited about, oh, you're going to do this whole done for me thing. And then they get on the call and it's $60,000 and they go, well, I can't even afford to pay. Like, I don't know if I could afford $10,000. Right. So now you've kind of crushed their spirit a little bit unintentionally. We're helping sales teams never have that happen. If they're on the call for a 60K product, it's because they can afford it. If they're on the call for a 10K product, it's because they can't afford the 60K product yet. Same thing if they're getting sent to the free channel, it's because they won't be able to buy. And we don't want somebody to get their hopes up and then have it crushed. It's not a good feeling. I've been there. Right. And then on the back end, where we really help businesses scale and save money, is we take all of the data that we get and we backfeed it into their advertising pixel, which means we start to train the pixel. Hey, these people, they opted in, they purchased within 10 days. They have this credit profile, this much to spend. This is what their Facebook profile looks or their Meta profile looks. I need more people like that. So then the algorithm does whatever the algorithm does, and it starts to make sure that every single prospect that opts in is closer and closer to that target profile, which I'm not an ads guy. I don't know how it happens, but that's how we've seen a 28% reduction in lead cost because of the training of the pixel.
Yeah. Well, that's powerful. We certainly know that as digital marketers, right? When we can have a better set of data on the customers we actually want to talk to, we can significantly improve our targeting. And I know that, I loved the website because the confidence of once you do SimpleCheck, you never go back or something.
Yep.
Was that, whose idea was that? Because that I think is kind of a fun.
Yeah, that's
slogan.
Grant.
Yeah.
So we've spent a lot of time understanding the roles that we all play in the company. It's difficult with partners. Yeah. Like 50-50 even partners. Now we have a third who's our client success director. And for the longest time, we were all wearing this like all hats. And we started to realize we can't do that. So I took over more of the partnerships and sales side of stuff. So just connecting with people. Grant's handling the marketing, but really the branding of it. So that's him. The SimpleCheck, what's in your wallet, was also him when we ran that a while ago. Play on the capital and stuff. But yeah, all of that is Grant.
I like that. SimpleCheck, what's in your wallet? Because it kind of works on what's in their wallet, maybe, right?
Yeah.
Which is so important, particularly for companies that are running pretty heavy on digital advertising, to go through the whole process of generating a lead just to get on with somebody and realize this isn't a realistic conversation for them or for us. Right. It can be really, a big time waste. And so to be able to get there and know that is such a powerful tool, particularly for people who are doing a lot of these sort of high ticket kind of couple $1,000s or more product. And it looks like you guys are already planning ahead. Give us the sneak peek. What's the next big iteration for SimpleCheck? Where do you see the company going?
Hey, business owners, did you know there's 76.5 million faith-based and conservative consumers that are looking to support brands that align with their values?
That's a $5 trillion opportunity, and if you're not tapping into it, you're leaving money on the table. Our new book, Liberty Spenders, is your ultimate guide to reaching this influential audience using conviction-driven marketing.
That's right. We break down real-world strategies that successful brands are using right now to connect with this audience authentically, build trust, and drive long-term business growth.
So if you're truly serious about standing out today's crowded market, grab your copy today on Amazon or visit libertyspenders.com. And don't miss out on this revolutionary strategy called conviction-driven marketing.
I'll give you a couple. So number one, it's the one-click install.
Mm-hmm.
So we're 3 to 4 weeks out. So maybe by the time this is aired, I'm not sure how quickly you guys air, but it might be live.
It will be. It will be for just a few weeks out.
Cool. So
you heard it here
the embedded
first.
form. Yeah, you heard it here first. So we're going to embed a form. Like, it's almost like Calendly, right? You go and you can embed Calendly and they can click on the dates and stuff. So we do that. And in that process, we realized a lot of people maybe fill out the stuff and don't find a date or a time that works. So then they just exit out or close the page. And then that lead is lost. So with our tech, as soon as they type their information in, it's captured. So we ask for their name and their phone number first. They enter that, and then a box pops up for an email. Then they enter that. As soon as it's filled out, as an organization, you now have access to their name, phone number, and email. They don't ever have to hit submit, and you have it. Once they hit submit, then we're legally able to run a credit report because we'll have all the compliance language needed, and then we can run the report from there. So we have the calendar booking page, and we have the same exact thing, but with just a lead opt-in page. So for people who aren't doing direct book a call ads and they're just running opt-in ads to maybe have set our team call out, same situation. Second, they type their information in, it's captured and sent to the business. And then from there, their team can call out, hey, Bob, it looks like you started to fill out something. Maybe you had some questions. Maybe your internet died. So I figured we'd give you a call. Right. And so I'm very excited about it. The reason I'm so excited about it, frankly, it's a little different than all the other upgrades that we're going to roll. There's an organization out there that claims, and it's a continuous ongoing battle, that claims that we white label their tech, which cracks me up because they are a white label of another company called Prefi. Literally a complete white label. But they're telling, I just saw it today from somebody who said, hey, this company said that you're a white label of them. And this is why I'm rolling out. We're trying to push to roll out this tech very quickly. Yes, it will help businesses. And when a company talks to us and we tell them, hey, there's a lead form or a calendar thing, and then they go talk to this other organization and, well, I want that. Since they're a white label of you, you should be able to provide that, and they can't. Truth comes out, right? And that's all I want is, integrity. I love competition. And I would love to be able to go head to head against this organization if there was full integrity with it, but there's not. So that's why I'm really excited about this update. All the other updates are great and it'll be specific towards helping businesses be able to really optimize and really scale and help them make more money. But this one's a little more personal.
Yeah.
Well, Hunter, it's the right mindset of just keep adding more value, and don't listen or pay any attention to the rest of the noise. Yep. Just focus on the signal, and that is the customer and their experience and how you can keep solving their problems. So I've got a question for you that, I'm hoping might make you think a little bit. So I love this concept of what you're doing. And I can see the value of it, of, again, not, it's spending your salesperson's time and, to your point, the prospect of talking about something that you think is way out of the range. But it was interesting talking about your journey and how you described investing that $5,000 in the program. Now, if you had run through that, would it have felt like, do you think it would have said you were qualified? Maybe it would have, because you would have had enough room, or if you're only going based on credit. But I'm curious.
It would have said that I'm qualified because I had the available credit to spend. It was all put onto a credit card. Okay. So yes, it would have said I can do it. It would have been tough, but it showed, essentially we take how many credit cards does somebody have, right? That's on a credit report. What's their balances that they have on that? How much could they actually spend? What's their total available balance to spend? The algorithm does some math, subtraction, and says, oh, okay, they have $100,000. They've spent 20 of it. They have 80 grand available to spend today. So then that's the number that goes through. So they would have seen that I was qualified in that aspect.
Sure.
My credit was terrible. It was 610, maybe 590. Like, it was not good. So
Yeah.
they would have known immediately that I couldn't have gotten approved for any financing options at all. But they would have seen has the available spend.
Yeah.
Now but it's interesting that you bring this up, because this is data. At the end of the day, it is not a end all be all like product, because there are people who, like myself, could be very resourceful, and maybe they personally can't actually go through and like purchase, but they have family members or friends, or they're able to go do things and make something happen. Right. And that's where a business organization needs to understand who they're targeting and who their audience is, and the data behind their years in business. Because if they've seen that happen multiple times, then this threshold of what gets pushed through as a qualified lead will be lower. Right. Or that threshold just isn't there for their $5,000, $10,000 product. If we're talking about a $60,000 product.
Sure. Oh, sure.
9 times out of 10, nobody's going to be able to find a friend or a family member to give them 60 grand to go spend on something, regardless of what it is, right? However, $5,000 to $10,000, you can make that happen. So it's a tool to use, but I can't tell you what's in their bank account, like their checking account yet. And I can't.
Okay, stop. Don't scare everybody.
Well, for those of you who are curious, you can actually go to SimpleCheck, I think, and run a little test on yourself. I did that, and it was accurate as to what credit we had on our card, and it gave my W-2 income, which as a business owner is a little shy, because we get income from distributions and stuff, but it had it figured out and done like that, I've also referred SimpleCheck to a couple of folks who I think have been using it, because I see they have a cool affiliate program for people, just as an FYI, for people. And I can see, that the folks I referred it to have been using it. So I found it worked for us, and I can immediately see, and we're about to launch here in a few weeks. Probably by the time this is out, it'll be out. We'll have our own coaching program, and this seems like an obvious tool for that.
Oh, that's another heard it here first.
Yeah. Yes. You all. By the time this comes out, we'll be live.
No, and don't mistake the point, because I think having this, like you said, data is so valuable, and we deal with that. Obviously, our background in politics, it's like the more you know, it's always helpful. And then comes human intelligence. Then comes, the interaction with the customer, and again, this is all hypothetical, very high level discussions, because depending on what you're selling, you could have that conversation and they say, no, I really need this next level thing, or so it really does depend. But I love the solution it provides. I love how it helps, everybody be potentially more efficient with their time. And I think this is just so powerful. Again, depending on your business, this could just be an absolute game changer for them.
Yeah. Well, I want to step away from SimpleCheck for a minute, although I guess this is really a SimpleCheck question. But a lot of business owners who listen to our show have partners. And I feel like everybody I talk to also realizes that having business partners almost like getting married, and you love your spouse, but you also fight sometimes, and you got to figure it out. You got to work it. So talk a little bit about that. What's been your experience with partners? What's made it work for you guys? How's it been great? What are some lessons you've learned about having partners in the business?
It's interesting that you asked this question, because I've personally been going through a lot of growth internally. And usually when you go through growth, it will show up in different areas. There's lessons to be learned. So things will happen. You say, oh, did you learn that lesson that you say you do? Right. So it's been an interesting experience coming from working my way into being an equal partner to co-launching something is a completely different experience. And being as inexperienced as I was in that avenue, I took that same feeling from, okay, I'm it didn't feel like I was a true equal partner. Like Grant made the decisions. His decisions were final. Now we agree on 95% of things. So it wasn't a big deal with Free Life Funding ever. There's no issues where I was like, I don't agree with that. We need to do something different. But it was a different mindset. And I carried that into SimpleCheck. Just Grant's in charge. He's CEO. We look at it more like an attorney firm where it's like partner, senior partner, managing partner, XYZ. So he's managing partner. He makes the decisions. I don't really have to have any say or any, like he makes final decision. And through work with one of my mentors, Reggie, shout out Reggie, he helped me realize that it's not a Grant thing. It wasn't Grant's fault that I took this upon myself. It was a me thing from childhood and like needing validation and all this stuff. And I've worked through this. And as I worked through it, I realized there are challenges and issues that are going to come up. I'm not going to agree on everything. And if I allow that feeling to stay there, like, oh, Grant's in charge, then I can't really shine as well as I can. And I can't allow my gifts to really flourish and help the organization. So I had to take firm stand in, this is who I am. This is how I'm going to show up. And even if we disagree, it's okay. We'll get through it. And there was a disagreement we had where we sat on a Zoom call for an hour arguing about a specific issue in the business. And to me, I'm just like, I'm not doing that. And he's like, no, you have to do it. I'm like, no. And we went back and forth and it was like, what are we going to do here?
Yeah.
like to the point where our third partner, Josh, was like, I'm uncomfortable. Can we please figure this out? And what came from it was because I was standing up for my ideas and my beliefs, and Grant was doing the same, which I'm so happy that he was doing this. We developed the idea of we have to have a one-click install to make all of this go away.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the whole idea popped up right then.
Mm-hmm.
So without those hardships and those difficult conversations, you're not going to have the ability to grow. So if you're in a partnership in business, I would say you have to just be who you are and be okay with there will be issues. And then learn how to have those hard conversations. I just had 2 hard conversations with Grant. There's stuff going on in his life, and he is working very hard in other areas of the business that I noticed it was affecting calls with potential partners and or prospects, like our prospects, business owners that we're going to work with. And I didn't say anything because I'm like, this dude taught me a lot about sales and business. It's like, it's not my place. And then I realized through talking to my mentor that it is, and I need to say something. So very carefully brought up to him, I'm like, hey, I'm not attacking you, but I care about you and I care about our business. And I'm noticing that you're showing up with this energy of what not a normal thing. Like you're normally way different energy, but you're showing up with this weird energy on these calls. And I think it's affecting the calls. 10-minute conversation. He goes, it feels true. I don't recognize it, but it feels true. This is a hard conversation for you to have, and I really appreciate it. And I'd offered him, let me handle it because I can show up the right way on these calls. Like it's been happening for me. And since that point, he's been able to dive way deeper into our marketing and our branding and the nitty gritty that isn't sexy in the business. And I've handled the partnerships and those conversations, but it gave us both the freedom to really not worry about the other side because of a difficult conversation. Right. And it's tough it's really hard to do. And when you're working on yourself and you start to notice things, it can be a challenge to know how to approach something. Mm-hmm. Part of me just wanted to be like, hey, dude, you suck at these calls. You need to stop. I don't trust you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But that, if I do that, if somebody said that to me, we're fighting,
It's like, what outcome are you hoping for here?
Right.
Well, I was going to say, well done you, but well done him.
Mhm.
Right. The response there, that's just equally,
Huge.
Impressive and mature, and takes vulnerability and trust, and which is what you need in a good partnership.
Yes. And we grew closer because of it.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is really important. Again, we agree on 95% of things. Our other partner, Josh, not so much. And that's great, because if we're agreeing on everything, we clearly have blind spots that we're not seeing. And so that's where our third partner now comes into play and is like, hey, here's the blind spots. Here's what you're missing. Did you think about these things? And it's amazing. But it's a lot like being married, for sure.
Well, and speaking of your, journey and even these lessons learned with your partnership, how has your faith impacted or changed your approach to business?
So Grant doesn't really know this, but I saw how he lived and operated, and he talked about Jesus. He talked about God a lot. And I was still under the impression that the universe, there's something there, but it's not God. It's not Jesus. And just through him being him allowed me to really get curious again. There's a couple of key people that he introduced me, had really good conversations that forced me to reread Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And Grant presented this, I forget who it was, but basically it's like you look at a chart and it's like you have best possible outcome and worst possible outcome. And then if you believe and if you don't believe. So best possible outcome, if you believe in God, is you go to heaven, eternal life, everything's wonderful. Worst possible outcome is it's not real and nothing happens.
Right.
But then on the reverse side of that, if you don't believe, best possible outcome is nothing happens because you're right. And worst possible outcome is eternal damnation because it was true and you didn't believe it. So, and when he broke that down to me, I'm like, okay, logically now this makes sense. And then I started looking at the history books and seeing, like, outside of just the Bible, seeing the evidence of Jesus. And I realized I'm going to pretend, I'm going to fake it till I make it. And I'm going to just act as though I truly believe everything.
Mm-hmm.
And through that action, because I'm like, I have to, like, the best case scenario, if I don't believe this, is nothing.
Right.
My life isn't affected if I believe it, and it's wrong. So I looked at that and I was able to really build the relationship with God. And that has helped with business more than I think a lot of people want to talk about, because it's taboo. You don't talk about politics. You don't talk about religion. You don't talk about sex. But then when you go and you look at literally all of the wealthy people in the world and you're in rooms with them, what do they talk about? What are your values? Politics, religion, and sex. It's like, that's just what people talk about in those rooms because it shows who you are. I don't want to do business with somebody who isn't an integrous person. How do I know if they're integrous? Well, if they follow the Bible's going to help you be like Christ. If you're like Christ, you're an integrous person. Right? So I think that it's really beneficial to have faith, and it helps in business a lot more than you think, because you're also going to be given discernment to know, hey, this client wants to pay me, but they're not going to be good for us. I'm not going to accept their money.
Yeah. Well, I think that's an amazing transition as we get into our lightning round. So we like to ask the same 3 questions to every guest and do 60, 90 seconds each. No, not too much pressure. There's no buzzer, but gives you a chance to kind of be creative. And the first question we like to ask everybody is, what legacy would they like to leave behind from their business?
There's 2 for me. One, and this is just stuff that I'm still working through, is I want the legacy to be that I was the wealthiest person in our family from a financial standpoint. And it stems from when I was a kid, and I, looking back, and know that he didn't mean it like this, but my dad told me, you're going to end up living under a bridge and being homeless. Understanding the situation, like, that's outside the fact of like how he actually meant it as a kid, that's how I took it. I'm like, you don't believe in me. So there's this internal drive of I'm going to be wealthier than he ever was. And he's made decent money. So like I want SimpleCheck specifically can be $1 billion company. I think it is $1 billion company. We just have to get there. And that's one legacy. But the other side of it is giving. I want people to have my name, my family's name, and Grant's family's name synonymous with the giving that has happened. Because at the end of the day, the money is not ours. God will provide it, just like he's done it countless times over and over in our lives. So all of it's God's, and we will give it back every way that we possibly can, which is where that goal of $1 million in charitable, and we're talking a month, because we tithe 10% top line revenue every month. We'll be doing at least 10 million a month when we're able to do that, right? And if it goes more, great. If it goes way more, even better. But that's the legacy is giving and people saying they behaved like Christ.
Well, with that, 90 seconds on any topic. What's something that's really interested you lately? Maybe it's a hobby, you got a sports team you're a big fan of, a great book you read. What's caught your eye recently?
A lot of things have caught my eye, and I love F1 and I could talk for hours. And learning to listen to God has been crazy. So a year and a half ago, God put it on my heart to start a podcast. And I said, nope, I don't want to be on camera. I'm not good on camera. I tried to film ads. I get weird and awkward. I've been on the back end where I'm like filming people and I love it. But the front end, it's just not me. So for a year and a half, I was telling God, no, I'm not going to do it, not going to do it. And I went through a lot of stuff in that year and a half to learn and have experiences. And I had a friend, I think you introduced me to him, Kevin Thompson, who had me on
Kevin's
his podcast.
amazing.
Love Kevin. And he said, so he gets me on the podcast. I had a great time and I realized I can do this. So then I had to think, what am I going to actually talk about? And I realized my childhood wasn't great. My upbringing, I wasn't ever physically abused, but it was a lot of emotional abuse from my dad to my mom, my brother, and myself. And I went through so much. And we have a wonderful relationship now because I forgave him for me because I needed to and to not hold on to the anger. But I learned so much through all of the different trials and tribulations. And I learned that while I thought that I was stupid and I programmed myself to believe that until this year, that I'm not. One of my gifts is that I'm ridiculously smart. I can see things from different perspectives. Doesn't mean I'm better than anybody, but I see things differently than people do, which is so valuable in a world that we live in now. So that's the premise of the podcast, is to really help younger, even if they're older, but people who are going through stuff or maybe see the world differently and are being told that that's a weakness or that they're an outcast, that they can really lean into that and understand that a lot of times what people tell us is a weakness can actually be one of our biggest strengths. And so I'm interviewing people and bringing them on, and we go through stories, like life stories. What are the hardships that you went through? What was it like looking at the world differently? And how did people react to it? And showing scenarios. So when people hear the podcast, they go, oh, I'm in that same situation. And oh, that's how you got through it? Let me try that. And to really help people lean into that. I'm not trying to monetize. I'm assuming it will at some point. It's literally if I can help one person who went through anything similar to what I went through as a child to recognize their worth and to be able to go do something different in their life because of it, I will be so happy about that outside of any money I don't care about. And that's really firing me up right now a lot.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. And
to your point, the surrendering and trusting, of course, that really resonates because we've been now doing our podcast for about a year. Or are we over? Okay.
Over a year now.
And
a little bit.
It's still hard for me. I didn't want to do it either. And it's still uncomfortable. So I understand that. But the beautiful thing is, that's how we grow, right? We do new things. We push ourselves. We try to learn new skills. And we trust and we try to be obedient, right? When we feel a calling, when we feel like the Spirit's telling us to do something. And so that's amazing. I can't wait to tune in.
Yeah. And that's how we met the great Kevin Thompson, was being on his podcast.
Yeah.
And it's been a great relationship. Well, I want to end with some gratuitous self-promotion. So give us 60 seconds or 90 seconds. Somebody's listening. Why should they reach out to SimpleCheck and work with you guys?
Yeah, I love this question. SimpleCheck is more than just the tech and the data at the end of the day. Other people are going to come out and they're going to offer something similar. They may offer something better. It's not the case yet, but I'm assuming that at some point tech will evolve and people will offer something better. But what you won't have is myself and Grant, Josh, and the rest of our team, Philip and Hassam, in your corner if you don't work with SimpleCheck. And what that means is you have a group of individuals who are all driven by integrity and by the desire to make your life easier and more profitable in your business. Because we've all been in a situation where we haven't been and haven't had that support. So Josh comes in and trains the sales team. We answer any questions. We white glove service everything. Even with the one-click install, we're always there. And you get to lean on the trials and tribulations that we've all gone through on this team to help out. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've taken people from, even like, we'll just talk about pricing, right? From $5 a report, which is where we started at. And then just was like, hey, by the way, 2 weeks ago, I dropped your report cost down because we got a better deal with the bureaus. I just forgot to tell you, right? So it's like, we're always going to operate in that way. And I've had people say, hey, do you know somebody like XYZ? And it's like, yes. I get to meet a lot of people. Again, it's something that God's given me, is the ability to connect. So we're just here to serve His heart. And you won't find that in other places, not like the way that we do it, because nobody else is us.
Well, and of course, on the Liberty Spender Show, we want to support other businesses who are values aligned, and your commitment to what you're doing with giving away 10%, I think is amazing, and it's a great goal. And we want to help build up other businesses who are making a great impact and who are committed to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I really appreciate you for joining. To get in touch with Hunter, anyone, hit him up at simplecheck.com. Run your own credit, be persuaded how great it is, and then work with these guys.
Thanks so much for joining, Hunter. For those of you listening, we appreciate your time. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you found value in today's episode, don't forget to like and subscribe so that you don't miss anything in the future. And if you're really feeling ambitious, we'd love to have a review so it helps other people find us and we can have a greater impact. Until next time.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Liberty Spenders Podcast. If you're a business owner, we hope today's conversation gave you valuable insights on how to grow your business.
If you enjoyed the show, do us a favor. Hit like, subscribe, and leave a 5-star review. It really helps us reach more entrepreneurs and leaders like you who are ready to make an impact.
And write something flattering, because I read them all. Don't forget to grab your copy of Liberty Spenders too, available now on Amazon and at libertyspenders.com. It's packed with proven strategies to help you reach the 76.5 million consumers who are looking for brands that share their values.
We'll see you next time as we continue exploring how to grow your business with purpose and conviction.
Thanks for listening. We'll catch you on the next episode and the one after that.